There we go. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Andy, for having given me this opportunity. And hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Narjeet. I am an administrator at Gamification Public School, Kalkaji, New Delhi, India. And also, I am a Google certified educator, trainer, and now an innovator. I am so proud of saying that. So, yeah, today I shall be talking a little about gamification in education, gamification of learning in the classes. So, what does it actually mean to gamify learning? So, in this session, I wanted to talk about a plethora of tools that can be used in the classrooms to gamify learning, but because I just have 20 minutes, so I'm just going to go to a small plan, a template of the lesson plan, and then we shall be discussing about what it all means to gamify learning and how can we do that. So, when when we first hear the term gamification or gamifying learning, what initially comes to your mind? Are we going to play games in the class? Of course we're going to play games in the class. Of course we are going to gamify the entire concept of learning in the class. But it can also mean that you are going to take elements of your class that might typically not be a game, say your day-to-day activities or your group work, even your behavior management, your class management. Everything that you're going to talk about is going to be about gamification. So for me, gamification is more about making learning happen in a fun sort of way, right? So there are so many models of gamification. There are different models which we can use: vertical planning, small group, station based learning activities, which we can employ in our classrooms to talk more about, or take the children uh, to where gamification happens. So these are all the different lesson plans. I'm not going to go into the details of the lesson plan, but these lesson plans are a wonderful way to make your classroom a place wherein you decide, like, today I'm going to take this group, or I'm going to go from bench to bench, or I'm going to go from a person to person. This is how I'm going to decide my plan today. My strategy is going to be this, or my lesson plan is going to be in this typical order. So, yes. So, when we talk about learning, when we talk about any lesson plan, when we talk about teaching in the class, simple teaching, the first thing that comes to our mind is, or the hub of our teaching is, children. So we have to make and plan our learning objectives such that it caters to all kinds of kids in the class. You cannot just have your concentration on one group of kids, right? So we have to have that kind of environment and that kind of learning wherein the objectives are clear. What do you want to do? For example, being an English teacher, when I plan ELAs in the class, my strategies are such that I want them to be maybe global citizens. I want to talk about the 21st century skills in the children. So my learning objectives are going to be according to that, right? And once those objectives are set, you need to have some sort of feedback assessment for the children, so that they also know what is expected of them when they are doing an activity. You just cannot blindly give them a project or something and just tell them that, okay, fine, this is your project and this is how you're going to complete it. You really have to give them what we call rubrics for the same. So there are so many things that we can talk about in rubrics. Just there are so many tools where you can set the rubric, so this is one of them. You can make a rubric, and you can share that rubric with the children. For example, you are looking at, say for example, you are looking at uh, what do you call, making marking the map or something. So the rubric that has to be with them is, the rubric that has to go with them is, what all are you expecting of them? So what is going to get them 5 and 5, or what might get them a 4 and 5 and something like that, though it should have been locked on. But I am trying, if we can show a little of rubrics, otherwise I'll move on. This is how you can okay, right. So what we can do is, we can make rubrics and we can share it with the children. And the third thing that you have to do is, what are the learning outcomes? What are you expecting the children to come out learned of the classroom when we're talking about gamification? So they play a game, and that's it. No, that cannot be it. There has to be certain amount of learning that has happened along with that, and that is what we are going to look at. And then we have to decide, the teachers have to decide the strategies as well. Like, is this going to be a group work, or is it going to be individual activities? What kind of assessments are you going to give them to take feedback from the children? Or the testing, in India we talk a lot about testing more than feedbacks and assessments. It is all about testing. So what kind of testing that we are going to do that will make us understand that whatever strategies we had applied was going to cater to all, has catered to all the kids, and they have learned what you were trying to tell them. So there are so many games, there are so many beautiful games that you can try with them. This is one small game by, by this is how we can give them a status of that we are going to play a game, but when we do this, you are also donating something to the world. So this website from Global is all about English vocabulary, and it is called Free Rise, wherein every game that you play and everything that the child does, every element that you are doing on this donates one grain of rice to somebody who is in need of that. So the reporter means maybe a news person, and yeah, right. And then you can go on to the next. This is for small children also. You can test their vocabulary. You can give them this game to test their vocabulary, and this is going to be really fun for them as well, teaching them to be global citizens all this while. And then we have word wall. So if you want to start a class, if you want to warm them up, if you really want to give them an assignment, you can do anything and everything with this beautiful website, which is WordWall. So this was a small activity that this can be created for primary segment children as well, wherein you are asking them to go on and match the parts of body with the pictures there. So when they do it, it is going to be fun for them. They just have to drag and drop. So these kinds of activities you can assign to them, and uh, if they submit the answers, they will know what was wrong with it, what was right, and everything can be decided then. And then there is a leaderboard where the teacher can check for all the answers that the students have given. And yeah, so if their answers are wrong, you can tell them, all right, not a problem, you can check out the lesson once again, you can start again, you can give them the answers, leaderboards, and so on and so forth. Just a fun way to start. And now, constructing a lesson plan design. So when we are constructing a lesson plan, the first thing we must make sure is my lesson plan or my lesson should be such that the children don't sleep on me, they don't feel bored in the class. You have to engage them, and for that engagement there are a couple of tools like Mentimeter, wherein you can check in their previous knowledge or the whatever you have done in the previous class. So this is kind of a question that you can give them. Okay, describe the global warming, and the children will be excited to see all their answers on one screen. Answer garden is another tool that you can use for this kind of learning. You can give them a question, they can write the answers, they can write the sentences as well, and all of them are going to pop up on the screen. And a good way, I say a good way to make them shake them up in the class. Okay, now this is done, and we are going to start with the real lessons, and then make them engrossed in whatever you are saying. So that is another aspect of a lesson plan, how to make them engaged, how to make them engrossed in the class. So for that, a little once in a while you can give them some puzzle, you know share the link with the children, and uh, this can be according to the lessons that you have taught. So what I have done is something. I have another session lined up in an hour of gamification itself for GEG APAC, and this was the promo slide for that. So what you can do is you can ask them to solve, you can ask them to arrange. I am going to solve it for all of us here in a moment. So this is also giving them, making their memory jolted. This is giving them a real plan of how to go about with the uh, you know uh, the characters. You can give them characters from the lesson, that this was the character, and if you can make out of the characters, okay, that is another plan that we can do. Then we can have scavenger hunts also to get them engrossed in the class. Cami recently in the past week has come up with beautiful lesson plan resources. their entire dashboard has changed, and they've come up with lots of resources and lots of templates for scavenger hunts and things like that. Teachers definitely can check out. I'm not going to again go into the detail of this. Then elucidate. Now is the time to, and of course, how can I forget Slides Mania? All the choice boards, the beautiful templates of the choice boards that they give. You can use, teachers can make use of any, and it's all for free. It is a challenge board. Again, I say, as I said, scavenger hunt, um, choice boards, all of them are there. The activities can be planned in as fun a way as the teacher desires. So thank you, Slides Mania, for doing that for us, making the life of teachers easier. Then, of course, how to plan the lesson. The explanation of the lesson also matters. So what are we going to do with the explanation? Google Slides, mustn't forget, is one way of doing that, wherein you can decide, with all the infographics and with all the pictures, with all the text, with all the explanation, as to how you are going to go about. There are so many layouts, themes, transitions, backgrounds, uh, formatting, arranging, tools, add-ons. You can use any of them, not only to arrange or not only to explain things to them in the class. You can also use, gamify again slides with Nearpod, or with, what you call, peer deck, with all the add-ons that are available along with that. So not only are you explaining the lesson to them, you're also gamifying the entire experience of going through the lesson. So once they are done with the lesson, once they have understood everything that was there in the lesson, once the lesson is over, it is now time to expand onto the learning that has happened in the class. And I find Jamboard to be one of the best tools wherein you can do that. You want to understand whether they have comprehended the lesson or not, whether they have understood the concepts which you were trying to tell them. So there are a few activities like, being an English teacher, this is all what comes to my mind when I start making any kind of training session for anything for that matter. So the lesson plan that comes to my mind first is of English only. So you can ask them to unjumble the sentences. You can make a Pictionary for them. So you drag and drop who is a he here, who's a she there, what do you call they, where do you put are, who is eating what, and things like that. So they are a very fun way of doing that. This is the activity from class 10th, wherein you can drag and drop and then make a descriptive paragraph out of it. So what you can tell the children is, what you can ask the children to do is just drag and drop 5 adjectives from this, from the column on the left hand side, to where you are asking them to do with a drop box. And then using those 5 adjectives, you have to make a paragraph, you have to go in with the descriptive thing, or you can give them any other activity as well. So with a lot of info, with a lot of frames, this thing is very colorful and also a fun way for children to learn things, to expand on the learning that they have already done in the class, right? And then now is the time to explore, to add an edge, I say, to learning. And for that, we have a lot of tools. HP5 is one I use a lot, wherein you create lessons for them, and they are going to go through maybe the video or an audio. And then as the lesson proceeds, there are questions popping up. So you can check whether they have actually understood or not. So check whether it is working. I'm going to write a wrong answer first, and let's see what happens when I write wrong answers. It's wrong. So I move on, or do I retry? I have to retry. Then I write the right answer, and the children have to check. So it goes on. It will continue only after the child has written the right answer. So the child can go back and try as many options, whatever is coming to the mind, and then the teacher can definitely come back and discuss more about why click was wrong and in clicking is right, and what was wrong with the tenses, what was wrong with the grammar, and things like that. So this is one very good way of doing that. And then we have crosswords, very traditional, and but a beautiful way to test if they have understood everything. So this is one example of the crosswords that you can create. Like for example, for classes 1, 2, 3, you can make them go through it. It likes to chase mice. So what is the name of the animal there? This animal has a trunk, so what do you call the animal? And they can go on and fill it. You can edit it, you can share it with the children, and as they are doing, you are also keeping a tab on their work. You are noticing what all they are doing and how they are doing, and whether they are doing it right or wrong. And definitely if they do it wrong, you are always there to help them out with all these things. And then evaluation, assessment, testing. There are so many tools, as I mentioned in the beginning as well. There is a plethora of tools that are available for us for testing. There is quizzes, there is Quizlets, there is Peerpod, Nearpod, and there are so many other tools that are available. But I find Google Forms as one of the best things for assessment, which we've been using for a lot now. And you teach grammar and then you are testing them. You can insert a small video, and this tool can be used for assessing for Indian teachers. I'm saying for assessment of listening and speaking skills as well, which we do a lot in classes 6 to 12. You can give them a small TED video, say of 1 minute, 1.5 minute, and then you can give them questions they are attempting, and then the form stops at the pre-scheduled time, and this is how the testing happens. This is how the skills are being. So for LSRW, as we call it in English, so this is one of the best things I have found. And now we are going in hybrid learning. All these tools are going to be of real importance as well, because not only are we going to use these tools online, which we've been doing for the past 1.5 years, we also have to find a way to make hybrid learning happening. We're using these tools traditionally in the class, and then in its in its online form in the online classes as well. So how do we do that is definitely going to be a challenge for the teacher, but a challenge well taken. It is going to be a fun way of doing that. And then the extension of the knowledge, whatever you have done, whatever you have completed, evaluation is done. So can we add a little more dimension to the learning of the child? Can I add a little more edge to the learning of the child? So yes, you have done, now it is your turn. The child's done whatever you have done, whatever you learned. Let me know your side of the story. Now for example, you are giving them a lesson on animals with small children, and then you are giving them a game, for example, to create an animal, um, and giving them creative space there as well to make them think about animals which has features, or which has the characteristics which the child wants, not the typical characteristics of an elephant or a cat. So what you want the animal to have, you can go there. Book creator is one way of doing that. I have been using book creator as well a lot in the class, one of the best tools. And then we have bingo we use normally to check grammar and things like that. So this is one way of doing that in the class as well, wherein this is one tool I think which is going to be very helpful in our hybrid learning, where you give a printout of the sheet to the child and sitting in the class, and online you are playing a game with them, so they have to click a mark. So the as you are saying, they are marking them out, you're striking them out. Is it right or is it wrong? Everything the teacher can measure in the class and online as well. And these tools are a real fun way of doing. So what is happening is learning, but in a fun way. And this is one template. I know I have just a minute left, but this is one template I found on Slidesmania, of easiest way to gamify your classroom, wherein you just have to make a chain of the words. This is one example of doing that. Making a chain of word by connecting letters, so the child can pick and drop a box and write whatever is visible or whatever it is understood by the child. And the teacher definitely is there to check, because when you share it, you can always measure the child's worth, and you can see what the child is doing, you can see what the child has been doing in the class. So that was all from my side, and my time is up. That was a 20-minute session. I'm going to stop presenting now, and thank you so much again for this session. Gamification for